This is your brother Big Hawk, that Yonkers native, that guardian angel, the host of Street Talk. And if you see the title, I put Leave the Innocent Kids Alone. A lot of kids are being violated. A lot of kids are being touched. A lot of kids are being missing. A lot of kids are being unalived. And these kids are not having a future. One kid was just unalived at 2 years old. And this is something that a lot of us are trying to avoid. But these children are being violated. These children are being turned into a sex trafficking situation going on here. Leave these innocent kids alone.
Good evening, I'm Daniela Guzman. It has been almost a week now since 12-year-old Amani Hughes disappeared from her Missouri City neighborhood. We first told you about the sixth grader last night at 10 o'clock, and this morning, on day 6 of her disappearance, an Amber Alert finally went out at around 11:30.
Tonight, only KPRC2 has the surveillance video showing her getting into a strange truck the last time she was seen. KPRC2's Bryce Newberry is live at HPD headquarters tonight with that video as police are revealing what they believe happened. Bryce.
Keith and Daniela, Houston police tell us they were initially told Imani Hughes left on her own, but after additional interviews and new information tonight, investigators believe she may be a victim of trafficking and she could be in danger, which prompted this morning's Amber Alert. And tonight, the FBI confirms federal agents from the Crimes Against Children unit are now involved in this investigation. Around 1:40 in the morning last Friday, this surveillance video you'll see only on 2 shows a dark Dodge truck pull up outside 12-year-old Imani Hughes' home. She appears to get in the back seat. The driver in a light hoodie never turns around to acknowledge her before turning around in the cul-de-sac of Water Chase Drive and leaving on Steeplechase Road.
I pray and hope that she's not in no type of harm's way.
Imani's mother, Shannon Williams, says she thinks someone kidnapped her daughter, who danced in the living room before taking a walk around 10:30 Thursday night. When Williams woke up Friday morning, her daughter had vanished.
She's a baby. She don't understand what's actually going on. So it's been really devastating.
Williams says she reported her missing Friday, but Houston police told her to call back 24 hours later. When Imani didn't come home from school that afternoon, she called back, and officers came over to her house to take a report. On her 6th day gone, HPD asked the Texas Center for the Missing to issue this regional Amber Alert, which blared across phones Wednesday.
It's not one or the other criteria, it's that they all have to be met to be able to issue an Amber Alert.
Steve Benefield coordinates after law enforcement makes the request, but the criteria is specific. The child has to be under 17, in immediate danger of sexual assault, injury, or death, and believed to be the victim of a verified abduction. There has to be enough information about the child, suspect, or vehicle to get help from the public before an alert can go out.
We don't want the Amber Alert to be like a car alarm going off in a parking lot where nobody pays any attention to it.
It's not clear what specific evidence led to the alert in Imani's case Wednesday, but her family wishes it had come sooner, as days turn to nights with still no sign of the young girl.
No message, no inbox or anything, no phone call. And she's only 12, so I know she's scared.
And I talked with a couple of teachers from Imani's middle school, Missouri City Middle School, who say that her classmates grew even more concerned as that Amber Alert came across their phones earlier today. Tonight, Fort Bend ISD telling us the district is deeply concerned, writing in a statement that our fervent hope is that authorities find Imani safe and sound before another day goes by. Investigators believe Imani is still in the Houston area, but tonight they need your help. If you have any information, call the HPD Missing Persons Unit. We're live downtown. I'm Bryce Newberry, KPRC 2 News.
They need a break, and we hope they get it soon, Bryce. Thank you. Thank you for joining us at 10.
In 1986, I joined the New York City Guardian Angels. And I remember years ago in DC, it was actually the Atlanta murders, where all the women that was being snatched up and being unalive, and you had some that was old and you had some that was young. And I'm starting to see a lot of a pattern here where these young kids are being violated from the girls to the boys. Like, this world right now is so evil and it is so wicked that kids are not safe. Kids can't play in the park no more. Kids can't go to school no more. Kids can't go into playgrounds without somebody violating them. And we gotta, as men, listen, I'm not a father, I don't have children, but I know there's a lot of men out there, a whole lot of men that have kids. And back in the days, remember when we was young and everybody lived in a certain area? Now follow me on this one, because I know you have some Gen Xers out there that understand where I'm about to go with this. People lived in certain areas and you couldn't come on nobody's block. If they didn't know you and you came on their block, what did they ask you? Do you know anybody here? Do you have anybody that lives here? And if you didn't, trust me, the whole block would chase you behind out. Now these kids are being snatched up from people's, areas where they live at. How are not the men not snatching these guys or whoever's doing it up and letting them know, if you come back here again, we're not calling the cops. I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna leave it right there. These kids are being violated and nobody's not really saying nothing, because what they're doing, they only put this in the local news. So it has to be guys like me and other people that have their own platforms that can start putting this out there. I'm going through YouTube and I'm seeing this. That girl that was 12 years old should have never had gotten into that car. Somebody should have stopped that girl from the gate. Somebody should have stopped that car, pulled the guy out of the car, whoever's driving the car, and say, listen, man, you're not going nowhere until we figure this whole thing out. Until we figure this whole thing out, you're not going nowhere. See, we got to start doing street justice like we used to do years ago. Somebody come to your block, you don't know who that person is, you detain that person. You detain that person. And yeah, the parents have to start keeping an eye on their kids, man. Stop letting your kids run your house. Stop letting your kids put fear in you. You are supposed to put fear in that child. You are supposed to let that child know, I'm the parent. And you will not leave this house unless I know where you're going. You would go in your room like we used to do and do your homework. Watch a little TV. Ask your parents, can you go? And what did your parents say? Before that light goes out, you better be in this house. Before that street light goes out, remember y'all? Remember back in the days, Gen X? Before that street light hits dark, you're supposed to be in this house. Because a lot of these kids right now are running the household. How are you letting your child run you? How are you letting your child run you? Now there's a lot of missing kids out here right now. Right now. You got people abusing kids. You got people touching kids. You got people grabbing kids off where they live at and unaliving kids. Like, these kids can't even grow up today. They can't. Gotta be better parenting right now. It has to be better parenting right now. Because these kids have nobody to go to except adults. But how are they going to go to the adults when the adults are scary themselves? How are they going to go to the adults when adults are doing things to these kids? That's why a lot of women turn to the streets. That's why a lot of guys become gang members. Because if they don't have love in that house, the love is going to come from the street. The love is going to come from the pimps, the drug dealers, and the gangsters. This is where it's going to happen. It's sad. You're right. It's sad and crazy. You're right. It's sad and crazy. What's up? My big sis Angela always supporting me. What's going on, big sis? Yeah. Like, how are these kids being missing? Like, who's letting these 12-year-old kids, these 9-year-old kids, and just disappear? Just disappear. And then you find a kid somewhere in a ditch with body parts. Your leg is here, this part is here, this part is... Like, who's doing this? And what makes a person mentally sick to even do this to a child? What makes a person mentally sick to do this to a human being? But we're talking about kids right now. Leave these kids alone. Let these kids grow up. Give these kids help. Give them help. Give these kids help. Sorry about that. Give these kids help. These kids are leaving at that age. She's 12 years old. What was she doing at 12 years old getting into somebody's truck? How come there was nobody watching out of the window how we used to do, how our parents used to do? Remember, our parents didn't play that. Our parents always looked at the window. Where you at? Where you at? Always called your name. Remember that? Remember that? Your parents used to always, yo, where you at? Oh, I'm right here, Mommy. Okay. I'm right here, Dad. Okay. And the men back in those days, my pops and other pops, I know they didn't play that. If your father said you got to be in the house at a certain time, if your father said you got to be playing in front of the house, you had better be in front of the house. If your pop said you got to be in the house at 7 o'clock, by 7:58, by 7:57, I was in the house. I was in the house because everybody knew your pops, the men back there didn't play. I don't know what happened to the men now, but the men back then didn't play. So how are these kids missing? Why ain't nobody watching these kids? And why they gotta wait for a certain amount of time for these kids to call an ambulance? No, you back in the days when your kid was missing, right there that the cops was called. The cops was called. The cops was called. Now you gotta wait a certain amount of hours. No. Once your kid is missing, check this out, man. Check this out. Once your kid is missing, call the cops. I don't want to hear about it's got to be 2 days. No, my kid is missing now. About time you call somebody, your kid could be unalived. Why are these kids being touched? It reminds me of last year when I cried like a baby when that kid that just turned 6 years old, her mother was bipolar. Remember that in the Bronx where she unalived a kid? I remember I cried like a baby. For 5 or 6 days, I was on social media crying because that child was 6 years old. The father was incarcerated. The mother, you're 26. You're abusing your kids. You have bipolar, and you beat that kid until that kid was unalived. These kids cannot defend themselves. These kids can't fight for themselves. These kids depend on an adult to have protection. Let me tell y'all something, and this is sad what I'm about to say. This is horrible, but an animal has more protection for their kids than human beings. I'm going to say this one more time, one more again. An animal has more protection more than a human being. You try to go and touch one of these animals, a bear, a deer, a wolf. Try to touch their little cubs and see what's going to happen to you. And then we just let our kids go with anybody? We don't even know this person that well, and they can go play. You're gonna throw your play where? Remember, we had to know the neighbors, that we had to all know each other. Y'all remember this? We had to know each other in order for me to let you spend the night at my house. If I didn't know you like that, listen, I have to know you more. Once I get to know you more as a neighbor and as a person, then we could start doing this. But you couldn't just leave your kid with nobody. Like, why is everybody taking their kids and letting them go freely? What was that little child at 12 years old getting into somebody's van or truck? Yeah, something's not right with you. You're right about that, Angela. Something's not right with this. You are right. Who was that person driving the truck? Like, who was that person driving that truck? Why did this kid at 12 years old decide, I'm going to go with this person? Angela, you're right about that. Like, come on with these kids. Leave them alone. These kids ain't have nobody except us as an adults. Remember, half these kids gonna have to take care of us when we get older. Period. But you're right about that. There's something not right. How did she know this person? Who was driving the truck? She probably knew the person. You're right, Ann. She probably did. Because why would she just get in the truck like that? Like, how do you get in the truck and now you're missing? Was the kid her father? Was the kid a family member? Was the kid a friend? But she just gets into a truck? You just get into a truck. A young girl just gets into a truck like that? And I'm seeing there's a pattern with a lot of kids being missing here. Kids is walking around the corner missing, walking to the store missing, walking to school missing. Where's all the men? We have to have soldiers again. We have to have it where guys are like, listen, man, you don't know that person, you are not taking that kid. You're not going to do that. Who are you on this block? Like, who are you coming to see here? What's going on with you? What's your name? Do you belong here? Do you know anybody here? Because if you don't, you better leave right now. Human trafficking, exactly. And it's becoming a big, big thing right now. And everybody, a lot of people are trying to turn their heads like nothing happened. Everybody's in the fog, but I'm not in the fog. I'm not in the fog. I'm not in the fog. No. I'm just giving you an update on the brother Peter, the one that we did the GoFundMe for. I put it on, it's actually under Stefan, but I put it on my Facebook page so we can raise this money of $3,500 for him to get this, his feet done, because the rotopy is not a game that high sugar is not a game. It's nothing you don't want to play with. So we just giving prayers to him. Maybe we can raise this money for him. So Peter knows, from me to the people in Brazil and to Peter, we're gonna try to get this done for you. We're gonna try. But like I said before, man, what was that girl? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to update to find out if they find her either alive or where the other place is going. Because these kids have nobody but adults. And if we can't protect these kids, who's gonna protect them? A drug dealer? A gangster? Who? A pimp? And then they turn them out? Let me tell you something. Majority of these women and these guys that end up being taken, the ones that do, the ones that are still alive and the ones that go the wrong path, the women turn into streetwalkers and the guys turn into gangsters. And I see it all the time. I'm a guardian angel, but I'm a public safety officer. So I see what goes on. They either turn into gangsters or they turn into streetwalkers. And what I don't want to do as a parent, listen, I don't have no children. And if I had a kid, I don't care how old my kid is. My kid is I could be 100 years old and my kid could be 75 or 65 years old. If my kid needs a place to stay, I'm going to bring my kid in my house, man. I'm not like, I'm going to throw my kid out. Because now I threw my kid out to the street. I threw my kids to the wall, out there in the wolves. Now my kid turns into something that I'm not going to like. Or my kid will be unalive. And then I'm going to have a conscience because that was my kid. Sometimes, even as adults, you need help. Nobody's the Lord here. As living in the human flesh, we need help, man. And when you don't show interest in your children, that's when your children say, okay, I can't get love from my family, but the people in the street's going to give me love. That gangster's going to give me love. That drug dealer's going to give me love. That pimp is going to give me love. And all they trying to do is use you for their gain. You notice that? And this is a lot of stuff that we don't talk about. A lot of us don't talk about this. Everybody, it's like some type of, what would you call some type of omen or something. We don't talk about this. This is then a lot of them become, this is where the mentally ill part comes in. They've been abused so much. Now they're mentally ill in the head and they don't know what direction they want to go. People do sell their kids. You're right about that. Yes, people do sell their kids. Yes, they do. Trust me, I know. I've seen it happen in Yonkers, New York. Yes, I know. That's how powerful the drugs are and the drinking. When you have no other choice to get money, you will do stuff like this. I've seen situations where women have sold their little kids into, where I'm going with this, to get money. So, yeah, human trafficking, yes, it's a big thing going on, but a lot of people are not touching it, but I'm going to start touching it. I will start touching it because I'm tired of seeing these kids missing, and some of them show up alive, but some of them, unfortunately, had to face something else. Yeah, that is fair. You're right about that. But I'm going to follow this case. I will follow this case to see if this kid shows up alive. Let's leave it into the Lord's hands. And see if this kid shows up alive. See what happens. We'll see if this kid shows up alive and see how this is going to go down. See if this kid shows up alive. It's horrible, man. 12-year-old kid gets into a car Now the kid is just, and it's a female. I know that little kid. I'm trying to figure out who is the person, and if she knew that person. Well, this is Big Hawk. I'm going back to my job. It's always a pleasure. I will bring you update on this. I'm gonna follow this to the end. Hopefully, in Lord's grace, that this person is alive somewhere. Hopefully, the person knew this person and something is gonna go right behind this. But I will update you on this. Like, share, subscribe to my channel. And like I said, we're pushing for Peter. We're trying to get this money for him to get his neuropathy done, because right now his feet are bad. So it's up there. It's on my Facebook, but everything is up there. His actually, let me see if I can pull it up, but it's up there. Let me see something. It's on my Facebook page. It is on my Facebook page right there. So you can go to my Facebook page, Colin Bostic, and it's up there. You can go right to my Facebook page if you want up this with $20, $5, $10, it's up there. That's my name right there. Go to my Facebook and that will pop right up, Colin Bostic, and that's him right there. So this is not no hoax. This is for real. He's going through a lot, and we're trying to help him out. But this is me. I'm always going to be the person that I am. I was raised in a good family. Mother, father, sister, brother. We all went through our tribal tribulations, but we stuck to it through thick and thin. Remember the Gen X back in the days? We had a good family values back, a lot of us, and you just couldn't come and take nobody's children, nobody's kid. This is Big Hawk. Like, share, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment on what you think about what's going on with these kids being taken off the streets and being taken by people. Do you think that she did know the people? She probably did. God bless and salute. Peace out to my brother Philly Dom and everybody out there. Peace out to my sister Angela. I'm out.